Welcome, Aries season. Welcome also eclipse season. Look, y'all, the next 4 weeks are going to be a little bit of a wild ride. Not necessarily this specific week, but we're definitely moving towards some rockier moments that aren't necessarily bad, but they are going to be a little bit of a unpredictable wild card. Hello and welcome. This is the Astrology of the Week Ahead podcast. I'm your host, Chani Nicholas. And in this episode, we are talking about the week of March 18th. It's that time of year, y'all. Eclipse season times Mercury retrograde is right around the corner. To help you navigate this notoriously sticky time, we're giving you a 30-day trial of Chani Premium for free. All you have to do is enter Mercury RX30 in the redeem offer code section of the app and enjoy. Just note, offer is only applicable to new Chani app users. Now, Aries season officially begins on Tuesday, the 19th of March. That's when the sun moves into Aries. It is, of course, the equinox, the spring equinox if you were in the northern hemisphere, the fall if you were in the southern. And either way, no matter what hemisphere you're in, this is definitely a moment of an energetic boost and a charge. If you're in the northern hemisphere, it is about life reemerging once again. And so there is a sense of buoyancy kind of in the air and a get up and go type of vibe. It's Aries season. That's what we do here. And right before the sun moves into Aries, Mercury, who's already in Aries, is going to make a conjunction with the North Node, which is where eclipses happen. So even before we get into Aries season officially, we're already talking about something that we are going to be experiencing over the course of the next many weeks. Because as that happens, Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow phase, which means Mercury will back up to the point at which it is at the beginning of this week. So we're going to be thinking, we're going to be talking about, we're going to be reading about, learning about possibly what it means to work with and grapple with the shadowy nature of life and self. Or if this is prescriptive, if we look at the astrology as like prescribing us something, then I say that the week, definitely Monday, but the whole week is a really good time to start thinking about that. Who is my shadow self? What is my kind of shadow work to do? What is the world's? How is doing my own personal shadow work helpful to the world? The more splintered and fractured the world gets, the more we're called to do our own personal integration. And that is what eclipse season, that is what this Aries season calls us to do, at least in part. And this week, there's a lot of conversations, both on Monday and Wednesday. So right before and right after the sun enters Aries and we have the equinox, there are conversations about our healing. There are conversations that are connected to what will happen over eclipse season. And there are conversations that we'll have to come back to once Mercury is at the end of its retrograde. Mercury begins its retrograde on April 1st. So we still have a couple of days, but we're definitely again in that, like, this is feeling like a little bit of a deja vu. Like, I'm going to have to come back to this, or have I already done this, or this seems familiar. It's that kind of a vibe to the beginning of the week. So on Wednesday, Mercury makes a conjunction with Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron wants to talk about what ails us, what hurts, how it hurts, why, and what the medicine is and what the teachings are from the things that we have survived and from the wounds themselves. So again, there's a need for medicine, a medicine for the mind. And because Mercury is very close also to the North Node still and just passed over it, and we're going to have an eclipse on Chiron in Aries on the 8th of April, that is an upcoming one, we want to think about how to hold space for, tend to the wounds that we have in our own again, psyche, self, body, as a way of both tending to our own needs, but also to the collective needs. We need more teachers. We need more adults online, not just like online, but also like online. We need to be showing up as people that are really interested in learning about how to tend to the wounds, because we don't need proof that this world is wounded. We have enough proof. We have enough proof of the systems that don't work, of the violence that is committed in names unimaginable. And we, I think, would benefit greatly from being like, okay, it's not even about being right or wrong. It's not about proving that these things don't work and that they're causing harm. It's about, how do we help this? How do we heal this? How do we tend to this? How do I be someone who is showing up in a kind of active resistance through wanting to create a different outcome to whatever it is we're talking about? We're going to be addressing the wounds of the self and the psyche over the course of this eclipse season coming up. And I'm not saying any of this to scare you. None of this is, well, some of it's a little like to our ego mind, can be scary, but it's not about that. I'm not saying that there's something here that we aren't ready for. I'm saying there's something here that we are ready for. And I just want us to steady ourselves and to ready ourselves. And we're already in it. It's not like there's something new that's going to happen. All of the ailments of the world are being uncovered. So what in us can be called up to tend to the thing that's already been there, but is again being made explicit? I think that's what these weeks are asking of us. And I know that we're ready for it because it's happening. Just like I know you're supposed to be here because you're here. I know you're valuable because you're here, you're alive, you exist. Same with me. Okay. On Thursday, there's something really cute happening, which is the sun in Aries, which it's exalted. The sun loves being in Aries. It's so triumphant, victorious, makes a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. I like this because it is deep and it's fiery and it's powerful and it's about directing our own source of light and self towards something transformative. On the same day, Venus and Saturn come together in Pisces. Totally different vibe, totally different track. Two things are happening at once. There's all of this energy and Aries type stuff, which is fiery and heated and fast moving going on. And then there is a section, this last section of the week, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, that is very Piscean. What does that mean? Well, Venus and Saturn come together, make a conjunction, which means they're, again, together. Saturn is boundaries and structure. Venus is love and beauty. They have a really interesting relationship because we need Saturn to create beauty. We need Saturn to have relationships because Saturn is boundary and structure. It is the bones of something. It is the, okay, this thing ends here. We carve it out like this. We are specific and detailed about how we're composing something. And that's part of what brings the beauty. So there's something here about boundaries and relationships and getting very clear about what to value, about what we do value and how to center it. Friday, Mars moves into Pisces. This is a red flag. It's not a bad thing. Like, it's not like Friday is bad. That's not what I'm saying. But now Mars and Saturn are sharing the same sign, and they're going to come together on April 10th. And this is our red flag warning, flashing light that says, do not overextend yourself. Do not do too many things right now. From now until the middle of April and maybe a little bit beyond, until we are also, through eclipse season and Mercury retrograde, we want to be very specific about what we take on and why. It's okay if you've got a lot on your plate. I just want you to be specific about why you're doing it and know that if you can not take on things that aren't yours to take on, then do that. Do not try to get everything accomplished now. This is a time to be diligent and steady and in the flow of what is working and what needs to be tended to now, and to let other things wait if they can. And again, if they can. I'm not saying you have to pause your life at all. That's never what I'm saying. You can't do that. It's not possible, at least most of the time. This is just a time to be very, very discerning, which things in Pisces aren't really good at doing, but just to say. On the 24th, in the midst of all of this, and again, none of this is bad, but on the 24th, we've got Venus sextile Jupiter, which is glorious. Venus is exalted. Jupiter's in Venus's sign. Venus is a planet of love, connection, beauty. Jupiter is a planet of bounty and wisdom. And both of them are really encouraging, especially in these signs, of relaxation and openness and enjoyment and delight. So, gorgeous moment to work with. On the next day, on the 25th, on Monday the 25th, we're having an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, full moon in Libra. Now, it's ruled by this Venus, so that's a good sign. It's like a helpful little situation that could mitigate something. Eclipses are times where the energy source, sun, moon, gets blotted out. So something becomes unstable in terms of the current, the energy. So we just want to know we're going into a moment that feels a little shaky. I would love for you to take Sunday to, again, delight, enjoy, focus on what fuels you. We talked a lot about doing that last week because that was the simplest week we'll have for a while. This week, again, it's not necessarily complicated, but we know we're moving towards it. We are in eclipse season as soon as the sun moves into Aries. The last time we had an eclipse in Libra was in October of 2023. Obviously, a time that revealed and has revealed many atrocities and much to work on and much to rebalance. Libra is the scales of balance. When something happens in Libra, it can teach us about what is out of balance, but it also teaches us how to rebalance. And as much as possible, we all need to be the rebalancing to the injustice in the world. So think about how you yourself are coming back into balance in yourself, with your life, and also with the world, and how you're showing up for and tending to the harm reduction that might get us to a more balanced and sensible way of living here on the planet with each other and all living things. Thank you all so much for leaving us reviews in the App Store. I wanted to leave you with this one by Chelsea Hollingsworth. This app is everything I've been looking for and more. The way that your natal chart is organized by planet, with each transit following based on gifts and challenges, is revolutionary. For the first time, I found myself looking at my natal chart not as isolated parts, but as a whole web weaving my destiny into being. And all of a sudden, my whole life feels like it makes sense. I absolutely adore the weekly readings, meditations, rituals, and journal prompts to help me engage with the astro. All right. Look, check the Chani app for your personal readings. We talk a lot about this. I think there's a lot of really good things that can happen from the clarity that comes with the Venus-Saturn conjunction. And I just want to go over with you, or I do in this week's readings, about what to avoid over the next little while. And meet me back here next week and we'll talk about that full moon, that lunar eclipse in Libra in greater detail. Until then, love each other, serve each other, make your art, take care of one another, go have some joy. Lots of love. Bye for now.